Hello, and welcome to The Joy Within, where we're eliminating negativity one thought at a time. I'm Kyle Greenfield, and I'll be your guide as we explore how to be calm, confident, and happy in our crazy modern world. Join us each week as we dive into some of the biggest ideas in spirituality and personal development. We'll learn what it takes to gain control of your own mind, master your mood, and navigate the many ups and downs along the way. Visit thejoywithin.org to get started so you can become the calm, confident, and happy person you truly deserve to be. Hello, and welcome back to the Joy Within's podcast. Today, I want to talk about a few of the ways in which our negative thoughts are controlling us, often without us ever realizing it. Now, this concept is absolutely essential to understand, because I think this happens to all of us, all of the time. And if you're not careful, if you don't take action to guard your mind against these negative influences, they will creep in. And the more you let this negativity in, the stronger it gets, until all of a sudden you get trapped in a downward spiral. And if you've ever been in one of those negative spirals, you know that it is not easy to break out of once you're in it. So trust me, it is much, much easier to stave off negativity early, to stop it before it becomes a big deal, than to try to climb out of a deep downward spiral when it can seem like more and more bad thoughts just keep coming at you, no matter what you do or what you try. So today, I want to outline what I see as the 5 most important types of negative thoughts to become aware of. And then over the next few episodes, we'll do a deep dive into each. Sound good? But first, I want to stress that these 5 types of negative thoughts impact all of us. I honestly believe that every single person on the planet struggles with this in some way. But that the real problem, is that we often aren't even aware of it. These little, subtle negative influences are so common that we often don't even realize that we're thinking negatively. We often think that that's just the way life is. And because we don't think it's a big deal, because we don't even notice it, we don't take action to change. Even though the positive change doesn't have to be hard. Often, we just don't ever realize that there is a better way to live. If you listened to the last episode, you know that I call this problem unconscious unhappiness. And honestly, it's what happens to most people most of the time. It's that state where nothing's wrong, but you know that nothing is great. I mean, maybe you feel like you're just kind of getting through each day. Maybe you're just going through the motions. Or maybe you just feel a little stuck, but you can't quite put your finger on why you feel stuck. Or maybe even everything's going great, but for some reason that you don't know, that you just can't quite figure out, you don't feel happy. So if that sounds familiar, then it's a sign that you're probably unconsciously unhappy. And as I shared last time, if you're not sure, there's a simple test that you can use, which is simply to ask, are you outrageously happy? Are you outrageously happy, boundlessly joyful, and immeasurably fulfilled every moment of every day? If not, then chances are you're unconsciously unhappy, and that's okay. And it's actually not that hard to fix this problem. Simply identifying that that's where you are and identifying these 5 main types of subtle negativity is the first step out of the trap. It's the first step into a better state of mind, a happier and more joyful life. So as we go through this list, think about which of these areas you struggle with. Be open and honest with yourself. I mean, remember, we're talking about a level of negativity that isn't always obvious at first glance. So take the time to reflect and to truly question it. Because as you start to reflect, you might begin to notice in a new way how your thoughts are causing this subtle, soft negativity within you. Now, maybe all 5 apply to you, but maybe there's 1 or 2 that really stick out and that you feel are the main culprits for you. So just be open, be honest, and be aware of yourself. So, are you ready? The first is stress, which I like to think of as stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. It's important to recognize that even though we usually think about stress in a work or a financial context, it can actually be present in any area of our lives. It can crop up as little worries that you might have, or even in things like your posture. It's not uncommon to hold a slight tension in the physical body, which we don't consciously think about, but that can be a sign, a symptom of the stress and worry that we hold within. So take time today to ask yourself in what ways you might be stressed or worried that you hadn't ever considered before. The next category relates to doubt and disbelief. Now, this could come in the form of self-doubt, which are those little nagging questions that you have about your own ability to be, do, or have whatever it is that you want. Or it could be uncertainty about other aspects of your life. For example, if you have a stretch goal, let's say, maybe a really big dream in the long term, you might not fully believe that the dream is realistic for you. And that belief might not even look like a doubt about yourself or your abilities, but could come from a lack of belief that the big dream is even possible at all. The third category is about internal criticism, which often appears as different forms of negative self-talk. It's the constant inner stories we tell ourselves about what we can or can't do, or what we should have said, or the mistakes we've made, or the mistakes we might make. It's the voice that we hear that if anyone else spoke to us in that way, we'd tell them to get lost. But when it comes from within, when it comes from our own mind, we just let it happen. We keep beating ourselves up, and it wears us down and saps our energy and our happiness. Now, the flip side of internal criticism is external criticism, which in other words is basically complaints. External criticism can be complaints that we make about others and the world around us. And we do this so often that we often don't even realize we're complaining. We think that we're just commenting on what's going on around us, and we don't notice just how negative it is because it reflects the judgments and the beliefs that we hold that do not serve us or help us in any way. And lastly, there's overactive thoughts. If you struggle with this one, you might feel scattered, unfocused, or disorganized from time to time. You might feel that you can't concentrate because the inner stories, the ego's narrative, has taken over. The challenge is, most of us don't realize just how pervasive our thoughts really are. New meditation students often comment that in the first week, they feel they have more thoughts than they had before. But it's not that they're having new thoughts. The thoughts have always been there. They've always had an overactive mind. It's just that stepping back and doing a meditation or a mindfulness practice helps to illuminate those thoughts. Because even though they've been there, just below the surface, they never noticed them before. That's how tricky these thoughts can be. Now, I obviously can't dive into all 5 of these areas in one day. So over the next few episodes, we'll do a deep dive into each. For now, the main point is to start to think about the ways these 5 types of thoughts are influencing you. There are many, many levels to each of them. They can be intense and obvious, or they can be behind the scenes, just subtle enough for you to be completely unaware of them. But as you start to reflect, you will become more aware of them. You can begin trying to peel back those different layers of subtlety, and bit by bit, to start to take back control of your mind. There are many tools and strategies that you can use, so if something I said today struck a nerve, if you are fed up of dealing with these negative thoughts, head over to thejoywithin.org and check out Happiness University, and I'll walk you through a simple system that will help change them. Thanks for listening to today's episode. When you're ready to put these ideas to work in your own life, head over to thejoywithin.org and sign up for Happiness University. When you do, you'll have access to all of the tools and strategies you need to eliminate negative thoughts by tuning in to The Joy Within. You can follow a simple, step-by-step system to become the calm, confident, and happy person you deserve to be. Visit thejoywithin.org to get started today. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you love, because I think we can all use a little more joy in our crazy modern world.